morning and welcome back to the Quilting Corner. I hope you guys had a great Christmas and a great New Year and are ready to start the new year. We have some projects on tap soon and we have more planning that we're doing for future projects, so we can't wait to see what the future holds. But today we're going to start, like we always do, with the subscriber spotlight. We've got 3 today. The first is Cheryl Beasley. She made a quilt that she called a Stash Buster, and she said she still has to add borders to it, but then it will be done, and then she will have it quilted or quilted herself, I'm not sure. But she's made the quilt top and she wanted to show it, and I am so proud of her for this quilt. It is beautiful. Let's take a look. She did a great job. The next one is Gail Holland from Autryville, North Carolina, and she has made a scrappy quilt using over 800 pieces of fabric. It's a full-size quilt. She said she did it as a quilt as you go, and she still has to bind it, but she has submitted pictures, so let's take a look at those. That was a lot of fabric. That also was a good job. These people are doing incredible quilts and we are pleased to see them. We have fun looking at them and get inspired from them. But we have one more. The last one is Mary from Mississippi, and she ordered some fabrics from us and then she submitted pictures to show us what she made with it. I love that. I love that. Not many people do that. A lot of people buy fabrics from us, but we don't see what they've made in the end. And I love it. I love seeing what they've made because then we like to see it. We get other ideas and, well, they're just beautiful. So take a look at hers. All 3 of these ladies did a wonderful job on their quilts, and thank you for submitting them. If you want to submit a picture for next week's episode, then send it to sewcharmingquiltshop@gmail.com. SEW charmingquiltshop@gmail.com. We will put it in next week's episode, and other people will get to see what you're working on, or maybe even what you were gifted, or just whatever, anything quilting, sewing, crocheting, anything related to the craft of one of those or anything similar to it. Send those pictures in. We all like to see them. We get lots of comments about how pretty these quilts are. Just watch the comments below and you'll see all these people saying that they loved seeing these projects and these quilts and these gifts that people have received. So thank you for submitting them, and if you want to submit one, go ahead, sewcharmingquiltshop@gmail.com. So now it is the first Saturday of the month. So what do we do the first Saturday of the month? Well, this is our last block. For this next block, we will need 3 prints. We'll need our white for our background, or whatever color you're using your background. We'll have our color of this one and this one. So we are using these 3 colors to make our block, and let's get started cutting. I've cut my squares, and I'm going to start off with, I need 5 pieces of the background fabric. Whatever fabric you picked for your background, you'll need 5 of those at 3 7/8. Then you'll need the one fabric that you've picked, 3 7/8, but you only need 2 of those. You have 4 of the background fabrics at 3 1/2. All of these are squares. The next one is 3 of the other fabric at 3 7/8, and then 2 of the other fabrics at 3 1/2. So I've got all my pieces lined up. I'm going to take my first piece, which is the 5 pieces of the background fabric, which is 3 7/8 squares. I'm going to take them and I'm going to subcut them one time from corner to corner. I'll do the same thing with this 2 that are left over. Cut from corner to corner. Then I'll take my next piece. I'll do the same thing. I'll take the piece that I've got for the yellow. There's 2 3 7/8. I'm going to cut them diagonally one time, just like I did that background fabric. This piece right here, the 3 1/2, 4 squares for the background, they stay like they are. We don't do anything with those. The next piece was the 3 7/8 for the other color that we picked, and we should have 3 of them. We'll line them up and we'll cut them the same way, one time, diagonally across from corner to corner. Then I've got my last piece, which is the 2 squares at 3 1/2. We're going to leave them as is. These 2 are the only ones we don't cut. We leave them as the squares. They're the 3 1/2 inch squares. Now to assemble them, I'm going to take one of these white triangles and one, in my case, it's a yellow triangle, and I'll put it like that. Then I'm going to put this one pointing this way. I'm going to take another triangle set and put it down here. This is going to be in this corner. Then I'll take this one pointing this way. I'll have to move this adjusting for size in just a minute. Then I'll take a white one right here, a white one right there, a white one right here, and right there. To finish off these squares here, I'll need the other half being a white triangle. So I've got this portion of it made together. Now I need this and this to go here. Then to take the triangles for the blue and do them there, there, and there, filling in with the white. That side's done. Now I'll do the same thing for this side. Point this blue down, and this blue down, and then fill it in with the whites. And there is my block. Hope you can see that. There you go. That's my block. Now I'm going to sew it together just like we do all these other blocks we've always made. We're going to start with making our half square triangles into squares, and then I'll put all those squares together. I'm starting by sewing these half square triangles into squares. Like this. Then I'll iron them with the crease going to the dark side, like that, and then I'll put it back in place. I'm going to do that for all of these half square triangles like this. I'll just put them like this, line them up, and sew down the side. When I get done with all these half square triangles, making them into squares, I'll come back and we'll do the next step. I've now sewn all of my half square triangles into blocks, so they're squares. So now it's just a matter of 16 squares being sewn together. So I'll start up here at the top. I'll take this one and flip it over to this side, and then I'll stitch down this side. I'll line it up, and y'all know me, these little dog ears irritate me, but I'm trying to drop that step out. Trying to ignore that and get past it. It doesn't hurt the block to leave it in there, but it takes a lot of time to cut them out. So I am trying my best to ignore that. Don't know how long that will last. But now those two are done. We'll take these two and sew them together, right sides together, down this side. Iron them open. And then this row is ready to sew together. So I'll flip these two on top of these two and stitch down this side, lining them up first. And once I sew this line, my first row is done. There's my first row. I'll lay it right here. I'm going to do the same thing with all of these. We've got our rows together. We just need to sew the rows together now. So we're going to do the same method we did with all these others and just flip one on top of the other, line them up and pin them. So I'm going to move these out of my way for right now. Grab my pins and start pinning. I'll start with this corner. I'll go to this corner. And then I'll line these seams up. Line those yellow lines up like that. Roll it to the top. That way I know those seams match, and pin it. Same thing with this one. Line those blue lines up. Roll it till you get to the top. Pin it. Same thing with this one. Line the blue up. Roll it and pin it, and then when you get it done, it should line up just perfect. So we'll stitch this whole long line. I don't have my pins in too far, so they're not going under the needle. Now I'll take my pins out and iron it open. And there's my top 2 rows. I'll put those back, do the same thing with this one. Put one on top of the other, pin the ends, line those seams up, roll it to the top and pin it. Same thing with this one. And this one. And then I'll sew down this line again. Just like we did a minute ago. Take my pins out. Once I finish sewing that one and ironing it open, it looks like this. Now I do the same thing again. I just flip this on top of this, pin the ends, pin them low so you don't have to take those pins out when you're sewing, or take the pins out as you go. Some people stitch over their pins. I am not one of those people because I don't want to risk messing up my needle or my machine. Once I've pinned it, I will stitch down that line. And now our block is complete. We take these pins out, we take it over and iron it open. And there's our block. Now we need to square it up. In order to square it up, we are going to get our 12.5-inch ruler, line it on top of the square, and then we'll cut anything outside of that square. We'll turn it once, we'll turn it twice, so that now these two are lined up. We just line the ruler up with these two sides, and then we cut the excess off of these. And what that gives you is a 12.5-inch block. We will now take this block and add it to all these other blocks that we've done throughout the year, and we should be complete. I'll verify that. I just counted to make sure. We do have 12. We are done. We will take these and put them together in a quilt here shortly, and that is our block of the month for 2024. We're not done yet. We still got to put them together, but we've got all of our blocks done. That's it for today. We have done a lot, and we have a lot more to do. For now, I'm going to tell you guys goodbye. Hope you have a great rest of your weekend, a great week coming up. And until next time, happy quilting.